Oh, yeah, that is right. Here we are back in the Right Now studio. Welcome to the final quarter on the CBS 8 app. As always, John Howard, Karthik Venkatraman, and Jake Ariani here to bring you through everything in the world of sports, centralized mostly, of course, here in our market in San Diego. And we begin with first things, most important things. How are you both doing?
Doing well, waiting for the Aztecs to win the NCAA National Championship.
High hopes for John Howard. I don't know if I'm feeling that good. He's maybe on something here.
It's funny you bring that up, John, because you might be considering how they played. Really, their last
4 out of their 5 games.
Yes.
Hey, it hasn't been pretty for the San Diego State Aztecs. The games that the last time we were on here, we said they needed to win. They did not win, fellas. They got a big win. We said, hey, you win the next two, New Mexico, Boise State, you probably got yourself an at-large bid. They did not win the next two, New Mexico and Boise State. And now I would say with probably confidence that there's no chance they get an at-large bid, right? I mean, at this point, you got to win the tournament.
No,
he says.
As you saw on my CBS 8 Sportscast last night, ESPN still gives them a 16% chance of an at-large berth. And I know Karthik has done some research on numbers. What I find amazing...
16%.
I think
So
that's
you're
kind of
saying
great.
there's a chance.
I'm saying there's a chance, and I think that's kind of gracious. I'd put it more like at 2%. But what's amazing is they're still alive for the regular season title.
Yeah.
If the right cards fall, if the Aztecs win tomorrow night and one other loss is made by New Mexico, the Aztecs want to share the regular season championship. Amazing. But really, I think of more interest is whether or not they're going to go to the big dance.
They have a 0% chance of
Thank
hanging
you.
out.
Like that's
I laid it out for you what needed to get done. They needed to pick up the quad 1 wins. They didn't do it. Because at best, you're going to get UNLV. That's a quad 3 win. Then if you get the blessings of blessings, you get a quad 2 and a quad win. And that's one quad 1, one quad 2, one quad 3 to get yourself when you're not even the next 4 out kind of deal. Like you're the last, or I guess you are the next 4 out. Maybe you're even lower than that. That's not going to be enough to get you in. San Diego State has no choice now but to win their conference tournament title if they want to make it to the NCAA tournament. And frankly, after seeing what I've been seeing, I was just like, man, after Utah State, they maybe finally put it together. They played 2 complete halves. This team looks so motivated, a team that can get it done. Nope. They go against New Mexico. They get a double-digit lead. And what do? What they've been doing previously through the season. They lose the double-digit lead, go on to lose the game. Then what do? They follow it up. They go to Boise State. One more chance for a quad 1 win. Get the resume up. And they fall behind by, 21 points in the first. It's just, this team is so frustrating to watch. They can't put 2 halves together consistently. We're almost at the end of the season, and they can't get it done. When this team is at their best, they're the best team in the Mountain West. When this team is what they are usually, they're 5th or 6th best team in the Mountain West. This team has not figured it out. Their defense and rebounding is not to the standard of San Diego State. They get out-rebounded by 22 the other day against Boise. It's just not good enough basketball in this time of the year. It's disappointing considering the roster they have.
I think, Jake, I know you want to talk, but very briefly, I question maybe Dutch just never found the right combination of players to be on the floor at the same time to play with each other. I know early on he was taking heat by trying to get 11 guys in on the mix. And in that attempt, this team finally put something together when they started 7-0 in conference play. But since that time, they've been a very mediocre ball club. And the great thing is there's a lot of parity in the Mountain West Conference, but it's very frustrating a team this talented is playing this poorly at a time of year that Dutcher usually has his teams playing very well.
They blew it. That's all there is to it. They blew it. They had their opportunity to really solidify that at-large bid. They blew it against New Mexico. They blew it against Boise State. The beauty of the situation is, though, you still have an opportunity, right? That is the beauty of college basketball, the way it's set up with the idea that, you can go out to Vegas. You can go to the Thomas & Mack Center where you dominate. You can go win that conference tournament and reset going into the NCAA tournament. That is the one silver lining in this situation. Yes, they could still win a share of the Mountain West regular season conference title. Does anybody care? Does anybody care about that?
I know the players do. After multiple opportunities. Granted, nobody else has come and got it, but they would have backed their way into it.
They say they care. They hang the banners. Yes, it's an accomplishment. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't mean a whole lot. It's about winning that conference tournament. All anybody cares about is how you play in March. I'll say what I said last week, though. It's I don't trust this team, even if they were to go win the conference tournament and get into the NCAA tournament. And by doing so, they would be playing hot because they'd win the conference tournament. I still wouldn't trust their matchup whatsoever in the NCAA tournament right now. This team has really, to both of your guys' points, never given us an opportunity to trust them.
I think my thing is very dependent on can they, and teams do just go to their conference tournament and get hot. And what I keep saying is, if this team can do what they did against Utah, we've seen it during some points of the season, guys. First half against New Mexico, Utah State, first half against Boise State. There are several times where I've looked at this team and I'm like, my God, this is what they are when they're at their full potential. If they can just somehow, it's not like we haven't seen it all season and they're incapable of doing it, or a team that's not talented enough to reach this. But if they can, I could see Sweet 16.
But they're so
they have to get there. That's
Karthik.
The problem is they can't do it. They can't do it. It's a matter of will they do it? And we keep saying will they? The season's about to be over. I'm at a loss for words. I'm very shocked that this team hasn't found a way to pick it up or at least play with more consistency. But I really do think it's the personnel of this team. I just don't think that, like, Magoon-Gwath, I think, is a really good player. I don't think he's a good rebounder. And frankly, like, I don't think anybody on the team's a good rebounder. Brian Dutcher, I was at the press conference today, and he said, as we go into next year, we have to evaluate who we're going to bring back and then who we want to bring back. And I think those are very important things because this team, yes, has a lot of depth and on paper has a lot of talent, and we've seen it when it gets there. But I think there's got to be a lot of questions to be had about roster construction and whether it's the way to get it done with the way that Dutcher has proven success with the way that they've played in the past through this program.
They're so inconsistent, and you can't go into the NCAA tournament playing inconsistent basketball. You won't survive a day.
But they're not going to make it to the NCAA tournament if they're playing inconsistent basketball.
If you get into the NCAA tournament, you can't be this inconsistent. I just have zero faith. Anything to add, John?
No, just that it's very disappointing because going into this season, there was so much carryover from last year's roster. And then when Miles Bird and Magoon-Gwath both decided not to go to the NBA after dabbling with it, you thought, holy mackerel, this roster is amazing with a couple of very good true freshmen coming in as well. As Karthik mentioned, it looked fantastic on paper, and it has just not panned out in the win-loss record. And they're paying for it now where they've got high-pressure games coming up next week in Las Vegas. I'm doubtful. I don't foresee them winning 3 straight games in a league with this much parity. These are good basketball teams, and they seem to be all evenly matched. They should be great games out in Vegas, but 3 easy ones for the Aztecs to win, not a chance.
I do want to point out one thing that you said, John. Miles Bird, Magoon-Gwath coming back. I think the big reason so many people were excited because people expected them to take that next step and become that much better. Miles Bird was preseason Mountain West Player of the Year. Magoon-Gwath was coming off Freshman of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year. Neither of them truly lived up to the expectation. We've seen it from Miles Bird in games. We've seen it Magoon-Gwath in games. But it goes back to the inconsistency part. We haven't seen it game in and game out from those guys who we expected to be the real dogs with the returning Reese Dixon Waters.
It's been tough for the Aztecs men's basketball team. The women have played very well, won their title outright. They're going to go to the Mountain West tournament, hopefully take care of business. This is a team that we should indeed see in the NCAA tournament. Any thoughts on the women before we move on to SDFC?
They got to win their conference tournament to get in, and I think that's going to be
no chance of an at-large.
Really?
No
No
chance of
at-large?
If you look at their net ranking and where they sit right now, they sit 67, and they have quad 4 losses. They have quad 3 losses. I just think in the eyes of the selection committee, when it comes to an at-large berth, it's not going to happen even though they haven't lost many games because they don't have, by the eyes of the committee, the quality of wins with the quad 1 and quad 2. I just don't see it happening. They got to win their conference tournament if they want to win, and that's going to be hard too because they're going to have to take down teams like UNLV and Boise State. And, you got to remember about San Diego State women's basketball. Last year when they won the conference tournament and went to the NCAA tournament, they were the hunter. This year, they're the 1 seed. They're the hunted. That's a different kind of pressure. They got to get it done, but they have to win their conference tournament to get in.
Karthik, I know you followed it pretty closely. What was the deal in conference play? Because they kind of dominated in conference play.
Yeah,
and
one loss, right?
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
they win this regular season championship with a couple of games to spare. What was the deal? Was it just a weaker conference this year for the women, do you suppose?
Correct. I mean, if you go look at the metrics, quad 3 and quad 4, it's the same. If you follow men's basketball and you're looking at Miami, Ohio, who's just having an absolutely
29-0
season.
or whatever.
Yes.
If they were to lose, though, we're talking like a couple of games just in the regular season and lose their conference tournament championship. There is a legit chance based off of what their net rankings are and their quality of wins because they haven't really gotten many of those quad 1, quad 2s, that there's a discussion that they could be left out. I obviously don't think that should be the case. case because they've played fantastic this season. But my point being is the committee is said the net ranking is the most important thing we're going to use after they moved away from the RPI almost a decade ago. So now we're at this point, if the net ranking means the most, San Diego State women's basketball sits 67 in the net rankings last time I checked, which is just not going to be good enough for an at-large if they don't win their conference tournament. The Mountain West will be a one-bid league.
So pressure on both the men and women's headed into their Mountain West conference tournaments. Let's move on to soccer, where SDFC just continues to do what they continue to do. They start the year with 2 big wins, outscored their opponents 7-0. Durand Free, 2 clean sheets. Big win over St. Louis City. Now they get hit the road for the first time, but guys, I know we sound like a broken record every time we talk about this club, but they continue to impress, and they've impressed in all sorts of ways. Anders Dreyer, which we'll get into, and we'll hear from him in a minute, but he becomes the second fastest player in the history of MLS to score 20 goals and have 20 assists, only behind the greatest, one of the greatest soccer players of all time, in Lionel Messi. Everything they do, and I've said it 100 times, just continues to be impressive.
Yeah, and not only are they off to the 2-0 start in MLS regular season play, but they beat Pumas in those 2 games in the CONCACAF Cup. So they're doing well in that particular competition. I was out at SDFC today, and what's amazing is Mikey Varas has this culture out there where the players say, well, yeah, we're happy with the 2-0 start, but we haven't proven anything yet. We come out here every day to work, and until we, win an MLS championship, we haven't accomplished what we set out to do. Comparing to last year, already off to a better start, 2-0 in MLS play. Last year they started 1-0-1. So it's amazing the bar they set last year. They're living up to it at this point, and it's wonderful that they represent San Diego, and that San Diego isn't just some throwaway franchise in the league. They're an organization to be dealt with.
John and I were talking earlier, and I said, hey, you went to San Diego FC today. Did they say anything interesting? He said, no, not really. And I said, well, you know what? They may not have, but I find the teams that never say really anything interesting and just talk about how they're putting the work in at the training facility every single time and give you that coach speak and give you that player speak of what the coach tells them every day tend to be the most successful teams. I go listen to San Diego State women's basketball every single week, and they say we got to keep the main thing the main thing. That is literally how they sound off every soundbite with. And look at where they're at right now. Success. I think teams like that kick you-know-what because they are so focused on the task at hand. And San Diego FC is different, man. I know they've only been around for a season and a couple of games, but this team's mentality, their focus to get things done is so impressive, and it all starts with their head coach and Mikey Varas. Starts even more so at the organizational level, but coming down to him, he sets the tone, and he makes sure these guys are focused and want more, and somehow continues to get that drive to want to win and achieve more. We say that, and we hear that from a lot of teams, that we want to win, we want to do this, we want to do that. San Diego FC is about that action, and I think that's very impressive. Then 2 notes, and I'll let Jake talk because I know I'm very long-winded when I like to talk about things. But Marcus Ingvartsen, how about him, man? After all the injuries that he went through last season, the way he's playing so far this year, I believe 2 goals and 2 assists in MLS play, this guy is killing it, man. He has been so good, and it's so cool to see a guy who dealt with so much last season come back and play the way that he's playing, and he's looking like a real dual threat with Anders Dreyer up there. They didn't really have a guy in the center position last year that could attack like this. Now they do. That could be the piece that unlocks. Then if they get a DP on the other side, and Mal Pellegrino's coming off the bench now, and then you got another big striker that's coming off that left side, man, oh man, the front line of San Diego FC is going to be lethal. That's big. The other note I'll leave you with, I've loved what Durand Free has done. 2 clean sheets. I'd like to see Pablo Cisniega in goal till CJ Dos Santos comes back.
I did think it was interesting. Mikey Varas was asked about the Pablo Cisniega, Durand Free situation, and he goes, look, we've created and we've cultivated an environment here where if you perform, you will get opportunities. 2 clean sheets, that's performing. He's going to get opportunities. Pablo Cisniega obviously signed that extension. I'm sure we'll see all 3 of these guys throughout the rest of the regular season, but I just love the fact that Mikey goes, look, if you go out there, you get a chance, and you do well with it, it's not going to be taken away from you. You're going to continue to get chances. So I kind of expect to see Duran Faria until there are some moments where they go, okay, let's get Pablo back in there or whatever. But it's just one of those beautiful things that you talked about, John, how good of the culture that Mikey Varas has put in place, and Tyler Heaps and the sporting director and everyone from the top down. So it's been super impressive. And Karthik, you talk about teams that don't talk about it, they be about it. The kids have a saying for that. It's called standing on business. SDFC stands on
Eli
business.
Drinkowitz, too, from Missouri football head coach.
Standing on business. I told you we'd hear from Anders Dreyer, who did become that second fastest player to 20 goals and 20 assists in the league's history. Here he is.
I think it all starts, of course, with my teammates. They know where to find me in the pocket or in behind. And then I'm also lucky that they kick it into the goal when they get the chance and I play them. But yeah, of course it's nice. I'm happy with that. It's early, and I know last season was very, very good. So this second year is going to be even harder.
He has tremendous talent to find spaces, to do things with the ball, to deliver final passes, to find the goal. He's just an incredibly talented player who gives everything for his teammates.
So there you have it, the history maker in Anders Dreyer with his head coach Mikey Varas there. San Diego Wave going to start playing some soccer here soon too, which is also very exciting come the rest of this month of March. San Diego Padres already playing games in March, just spring training games, opening day coming up here quickly. Any thoughts on the Padres before we get into a little bit of WBC talk? Those are the acronyms. Because when I was out there at spring training, we talked a lot about the WBC, so I want to hear from the players on that. But any kind of generic overall thoughts on the Padres as we've gotten into the spring?
I don't have a lot of thoughts. I know, Jake, you were there for an extended period of time, and you have great insights. I find what's interesting when the WBC is being played, how it seems like it would interrupt the flow of the team forming its chemistry, because some of these guys are out playing for the Dominican Republic or for the USA team or whatever international teams they're playing for. And it's great opportunity for the younger players on the Padres to get some reps or to get some at-bats, whatever. But it seems like it would slow down the chemistry building process of putting a team together. Granted, a lot of these guys maybe are on the team 4, 5, 6 years deep, and once the end of March rolls around and they start playing games, it's not going to take long for the chemistry to build. But it just seems like it would be a stilted or jilted spring training time with these key players especially gone.
I think it's also different this year because you have Craig Stammen in his first year, and I think he is trying to tinker around with what that lineup looks like. And this year it just so happens that a lot of the guys that he's maybe considering at the top of his lineup, Xander Bogaerts, Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., are all going to be in the World Baseball Classic. So I think that does kind of fiddle around with what you're trying to do. But hey, we've seen Jake Cronenworth lead off in a couple of these spring training games, and maybe that gives some time for him to tinker with that and see if, hey, do I want to start a guy like that up here, or maybe move some other guys around in the lineup. The full flow may not be there. I do think as we get into the regular season, the starting lineups just of the batting order is something that's going to have to try and be figured out anyway, because I just think it's going to take some time. I don't think no matter what Stammen throws out there at the beginning of the regular season probably will be the answer anyway. So I think ultimately it's going to take time. I do think the World Baseball Classic is a wonderful opportunity, way more intense than spring training ever will be, to go out and get some really good reps against guys that are really trying to win this thing. And I think that competitive juice, it's no more okay, we're going to come sign a bunch of autographs before our spring training game and then go hit the field. It's we're trying to win this for our country, and nobody has more pride than putting on for their country. So I'm really excited for that. One note that I do just have generally from spring training, Randy Vasquez has looked good. I'm not really sure
Somebody called that one.
I'm not sure about the rest of the back end of the rotation, though. Those guys are struggling a little bit.
Yeah, some of the guys, JP Sears, Walker Buehler. Obviously, we haven't really gotten to see Matt Waldron with his surgery and all
Marquez
that stuff.
Too, we saw him.
Herman Marquez. It's still very early in spring. Back to the WBC real quick, though. The players have openly talked about how it's challenging to get kind of ready for it in that quick period of time, and that, it does take away from the team. And those things that you guys have all brought up are very real things. I think it's so good for the sport, though, and it grows it so much, and it's competitive, like you said, Karthik. So these guys don't mind doing it, even if it is a little bit of a takeaway from that. And like I mentioned, I was out there in Peoria, and we did ask a lot about the WBC. Here's some of the players' thoughts on it.
It's going to be fun this year with the teams. I think there's a lot more players getting involved all over with every country. So, we're definitely excited for it.
I'm pumped. It's going to be an awesome experience.
I mean, it's great. I play a lot of guys that I grew up with, playing against or playing with. Guys that I grew up cheering for, share the field together.
It was an easy yes, and I'm really excited to be a part of that team and play in an event that I think is growing each year that we do it.
And so the Padres actually have 7 players in the WBC. They got 3 on the Dominican Republic with Fernando, Manny, and Wandy Peralta. Xander Bogaerts, as you saw, on the Netherlands. Mason Miller representing the United States. And then a couple players on Team Italy, Ron Marinaccio and Alec Thomas. Alec Thomas?
Alec Jacob.
Alec Jacob, thank you. I was like, Alec Jacob, the sidewinder for the Padres there. But it's such an exciting event. It actually started on Wednesday of this week when Chinese Taipei took on Australia, and we'll just get rolling into this thing. It's so much fun. It's electric. I think back to the games here we had at Petco, and Adam Jones robbed Manny Machado of a home run. Just such fun moments. And that's kind of one of the unique things that this event provides is you get to go up against your teammates sometimes, and that's kind of cool. It's actually something that Xander also commented on.
I never played him, Manny and like Todd and those guys. I never played them so far yet in the WBC because we're always on that side. You know, last year we had a chance where we lost in the first round, but hey, they have a good team. You know, we have a good team, but their team they have a lot of names, you know, and that doesn't always mean that you're going to make it. You know, we've seen it happen with multiple teams before, and sometimes the underdog gets the better of it. So hopefully we play a role like that.
It's definitely what you look for as a kid. I always wanted to do it, and I just feel it came on the right time, and really happy it's going to happen. And I just know it's going to be a beautiful experience.
To put that jersey on, I think he's going to be very emotional, and I think a lot of people are going to be excited to see him in that uniform representing his country at the highest level.
The Dominican team we definitely know what we can bring to the table, but the most important part is that we're working for it, and we're not eating shit, you know. We know the competition that is out there, and every player that is going to go out there definitely going to bring his A game.
Have a good time, you know, and hopefully be the last team standing.
I hope Fernando's S-bomb was bleeped out on the TV air broadcast. No. One thing I'd like to say about the WBC, it's reminding me of what soccer does. Soccer has so many different tournaments and cups and leagues. It's hard for us American fans to follow because we're so used to the cut and dry NBA season, NHL season, MLB season. And I'm going to go down a rabbit hole here. I would love to see Major League Baseball, it'll never happen, would love to see Major League Baseball and the NBA and the NHL cut its regular season by 20%. Take 32 games out of the Major League Baseball season and create a better opportunity for these international type tournaments. Same thing with NHL and NBA. We don't need 80 games, especially when 20 teams are making the playoffs. It'll never happen because owners are going to lose the gate. The players are going to get paid less. But I think it would be better for the leagues and better for the sports.
Tell them to medium-sized market teams who need the money.
Yeah. I hear you.
We're all relying on it. It's going to be great. I think we're all kind of hoping for that Dominican Republic, United States showdown, which would be pretty epic. But there's some really good teams. I mean, obviously Japan, who's won it multiple times. Team Italy's got a pretty decent squad too. So there's some fun teams out there in the WBC as we continue to creep closer to Padres opening day. Just excited baseball season is back. And as we close out this final quarter on the CBS 8 app, as I always do, I leave it to the two intelligent men for the final thoughts.
Karthik, any final thoughts?
I'm going to go with the final thought on UC San Diego men's basketball, man. They started off the season really well, then had a huge lull. They had some injuries. Leo Beef didn't play particularly well. But all of a sudden, this team's starting to play a little better off a guy that I sent you guys in the group text chat a long time ago. Hudson Mays is going to be a problem, the true freshman. He's starting to become a problem. This guy can ball. He's been playing well for UC San Diego. Now that he's entered the starting lineup, I think the Tridents have a chance to maybe just win their Big West Conference tournament title again and go dancing one more time. We'll see.
I had to bring the 3-box back out because the final thoughts were so long. So sorry
I told you earlier in the show.
Sorry for the false start.
I am long-winded.
Typically, it's like final thoughts. Here's the graphic. Bye. And so now we're back in the 3-box.
It's my final thoughts. You didn't say final thought. It wasn't singular. I had many thoughts to get through.
John, would you like the 3-box remaining, or do you want the graphic to send us off?
Karthik, we're going to keep him accountable. And if the Tritons don't win the Big West tournament, we're going to come back. And he's going to say, oh, no, I said that they might win the Big West.
John, remember what I said at the end?
We'll see.
We'll see. I'm going to predict I would love to predict the Aztecs win the Mountain West Conference Tournament. I do not see that
You already
happening.
said they're winning the NCAA tournament.
Oh, that's right. I
So
joked
we
that they won
started
the
this whole
NCAA
thing
National
off.
Championship. I have the Aztecs losing Friday night of the Mountain West Conference Tournament. That'll be in the semifinal. So they'll come up a game short, and they won't be going to the big dance.
I'm putting the graphic back up. That's the end of
Good.
this. I like the predictions. No, Karthik, you're done. Appreciate you joining us here on the final quarter on the CBS 8 app. We will see you next week.
We're out.